Hey guys, what's up? It's Charles Float here and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be taking you through the double whammy of updates that we got hit with over the December holiday period that ended up lasting well into January and seemingly being the longest rollouts I have ever experienced in my 15 years in SEO, taking just 2 days shy of a month to complete rolling out. It's not all that surprising then that these updates were seemingly very impactful, decimating the traffic of sites that glossed over key details, flew too close to the spamming sun, and ultimately paid the price of not having cohesive campaigns or trying to shortcut the system with quantity over quality work. That being said, neither of these updates really affected foreign SEO, AI content, programmatic builds, or a major target Google had announced paid links, which did see hits in some cases, but has generally seen a resurgence like I have never seen before for those that can execute link building campaigns well. Almost all of the link agencies that I personally work with said that January was their best month for sales in history. So, without any further ado, let's get into what these updates actually did affect and how you can grow or recover your traffic for the rest of the year. The very first thing we need to talk about is the fact that this update analysis video is very different to every other update analysis video that I've ever done, in the fact that this is actually 2 updates rather than 1. And whilst the updates themselves were started on separate dates, according to the official story at least, they actually felt most of the impact on the similar dates around them, and that's what we're going to cover today. So it meant that it was quite difficult to analyze both of the updates at the same time to figure out what they seemingly both hit, because they seemingly had an impact at the same time as well. So, according to Google and the official dates, the helpful content update started around December 5th. The SpamBrain update, that's the link-based update, started on December the 14th, and they both ended on January 12th. However, sites have been hemorrhaging traffic ever since, and in my professional opinion, neither of the updates officially actually started rolling out on either of those dates. It took a while for us to see any sort of an effect. It seemingly had effects over most of the end of just the December period, from around December 20th onwards, and like I said, sites have been hemorrhaging traffic ever since. Official dates and reality are often 2 different things though, and I have seen through multiple update videos that what has happened usually is that a lot of updates have seemingly had an effect either before or after the updates, the official dates have actually said that they were released on. So that being said, it's very likely that there's still going to be tweaks to the algorithm, potentially some kind of rolling algorithm ongoing, or changes and significant changes likely coming in the future, because Google's probably not too happy with certain results that are going on with these 2 updates that have taken place. So these updates are a matter of scale. Google is actively trying to downsize. That is why there has been massive layoffs, including the very famous Gary Illis, who is part of the SEO industry, announced on LinkedIn last week that he was being laid off as part of the Switzerland layoff plans for Google as well, and he's been at Google for I think around 15 or 20 years, a very well-known face in the SEO industry, and has spoken at about 12 or 24 SEO conferences, and has been in many arguments on SEO Twitter as well, likewise has the other Google engineers. So Google is actively trying to downsize. It's not trying to upscale its algorithm to be more complex and thus costly. So it's likely and it's unlikely that Google will be implementing any sort of AI stuff in the future, because they're trying to be implementing stuff that is more cost efficient and more cost saving than is making it more complex and thus more costly. These updates also are seemingly more impactful the more middle-sized you are. So if you're a smaller sized site, yes, you will have seen benefits, but in general, you will have seen more impacts and more gains or losses around that middle size. Larger sites and authority sites generally seem unaffected. If you've looked at things like Forbes or Good Housekeeping, you'll have noticed that their traffic has seemingly flatlined, and that both of these updates didn't have really any effect on either of those sites, and didn't really have any effect on most of the authority sites out there for a fact. It doesn't seem like they've gained a significant amount of traffic or lost a significant amount of traffic either. Most of the authority sites that actually gained a lot of traffic seem to be Google's own sites, which is google.com and youtube.com, which speaks for itself. But again, it might be a part of the system where Google is protecting these sites from any sort of algorithmic effects because they are protected by the authority that they have based on links. As is always the case, it's all about the backlinks, baby. So this is actually not the first helpful content update, and for those that have a short-term memory loss problem within the SEO world, the last helpful content update and the actual first helpful content update came out in August last year and was hyped to the moons. People were saying that it was going to kill AI content, it was going to kill programmatic builds, it was going to do so much different stuff to different SEO campaigns that it was going to be game changing, when in reality it came out, it came to us, completed, and did jack squat. In reality, I actually think that this update the August 2022 helpful content update ended up being a dataset training exercise, essentially meaning that Google was training what would happen as a reactionary tail to the data, because so many people in the SEO industry and in the climate, in the blogging world and in the SEO world and in the tech world and website world, webmaster world, should I say, ended up deleting massive amounts of content and ended up changing so much on their site that it was a massive amount of signal changes to Google that should be a really easy way to train Google's indicators to what is good content, what is bad content, because people went and changed it all for them and went and told them the exact indicators for them to train for, which is probably what they've implemented in this update. But again, this update specifically is really, really hard to analyze, and it's hard to analyze at the best of times anyway, but it's made so much more difficult by the fact that it is rolling out at the exact same time as the link update, and the link update for SpamBrain was so much more impactful, in my opinion anyway, than the helpful content update was. But at the same time, the helpful content update was rolling out, it did impact a lot of stuff. So in my opinion, the number one thing it did impact was YMYL content. It just basically made it so you need a lot more trust signals to officially rank for that kind of YML content, and that trust signals comes in kind of the both topical clustering side of things as well as off-page trust signals. Formatted data one in general, so things like tables and schema just did phenomenally well across the board. A lot of our test sites have been smashing it from using that kind of formatted data, especially in the smaller niches where a lot of competitors don't seemingly use it. Using user signals also were potentially more important after the update, so it's quite interesting to find out that Google might be relying more on user signals as part of the helpful content update, and again, that might just be a change in when content has changed, and if that reflects to users, and that Google can then use that as kind of data trading for its machine learning algorithms. However, from what I'm testing and what we're seeing, user signals are definitely potentially playing a much larger role in the Google's algorithm than they were previously. That being said, that role is still diminished in regards to other stuff, stuff like content and links and things like that. It's not a massive signal. It's just now probably more important than it was previously. It's still not going to knock links off the top of the chart at any time soon. Likewise, topical clustering also won massively, and you also lost if you kind of strayed away from your main niches, especially if you don't have that authority to be able to open into new niches and you have a certain authority in a certain topic. Try to stay in that topic, or what you'll need to do is create a ton of content all at once and try and drop into that new topic so that Google can immediately recognize you as an authority in that topic. Otherwise, currently, Google isn't going to recognize a lot of the content that you're individually releasing for new topics unless you have got supporting content already in place so that Google believes you are truly an authority on that topic. Now on to SpamBrain, and first I want to talk about what Google claimed it actually does and what the reality is to the situation. Now, the very first thing was that the SpamBrain documentation around this update release and completion was extremely bold and extremely aggressive. Essentially, it said that the SpamBrain update can now detect sites that both buy and sell links. Short story, short newsflash, no, It cannot. No, it can't detect sites that buy and sell links. It just has gotten better at detecting unnatural links and has gotten better at training that data set to be able to understand where those unnatural link placements would be. But in general, there is still a massive amount of link manipulation going on. And if anything, it seems to be the case that it has made it more impactful and more necessary to have those links than it did previously. So Google also claimed that it would nullify them and not penalize them. So essentially what that means is that if you had got links previously that had value, that it would devalue those links, but it wouldn't potentially penalize the site as a result. So you would just lose ranking signals and ranking power, but you wouldn't directly have any toxic signals passing on to the site. And we can actually correlate some of that in the reality of this update. So if it is the case that you have got a load of backlinks at your site that you think might be slightly questionable, and you did see drops to those specific pages, then it could have been the case that it was those backlinks losing the juice, losing the power, and being essentially nullified by this update. As a result, then you will have lost those signals and competitors will have replaced you with higher levels of signals than your page or your site currently has. So what did SpamBrain actually hit? And the very first thing that basically every single one of my test pages and test sites had in correlation that got hit was niche edits or link insertions. And it wasn't just the case where it was the low quality niche edits this time. It was basically every type of niche edit, and especially the sites that basically relied 100% on them. Those sites lost 50 to 70% of their traffic, but in general they weren't the best of sites anyway, and it's not all that surprising that they ended up getting substantial hits. And in my opinion, it's not all that surprising when Google has got a comparative cache. It's one of the easiest things for them to essentially pick up on and just devalue. It's probably a high likelihood that they actually devalued a lot of those niche edits rather than making them toxic like they would have done in the past. PBN links were another thing that also got hit. Mostly it seems that it was public facing networks. If you've got your own private blog networks, then it's unlikely that you will have gotten hit either. But if you've been buying links from those public services, you know the ones that I'm talking about, Facebook, Black Hat World, those kinds of stuff. Some of those networks have seen 30, 50, 60% losses. And again, it's not all that surprising when Google can just go ahead and buy some links and then reverse engineer 50, 60% of the network via a 5-link order anyway. Most of those people aren't building quality networks. Most of the networks are very footprinted, have heavy amounts of overlapping links, and it's really not that hard to start reverse engineering them. Likewise, they have devalued orphan links, it seems. A lot of guest posts that don't have any internal links, don't have any backlinks, don't have any social signals, anything like that. A lot of those test sites that have those links for me, they got hit. They devalued certain sites as well. And in relation to certain sites, I will show you an exact example of that, which is HARO. In my opinion, and I've been speaking to more and more SEOs and more link building experts that have got this opinion, HARO abusing sites. So that is sites that have been abusing HARO to get links on, and those that have been getting links from these specific sites en masse have generally been getting hit. Both the sites themselves have actually often lost traffic. It doesn't mean that necessarily they have to have lost traffic to have lost to being devalued or to potentially turn toxic. And again, it's unlikely that these links will have been turned toxic, but it is likely that they will have been devalued. And I'm of course talking about sites like Databox, UpCity, Referral Rock, CEO Blog Nation, and UpJourney. A lot of these sites have just been abusing HARO to the ridiculous levels of publishing 5 to 10 HARO related articles a day with quotes from 10, 20, 30, 50 different people, which creates a massive high OBL outbound links, often from a dozen plus different niches, which again causes issues and again causes things that can be easily trained out of the algorithm by the machine learning style things. Because if a page has got 20 different, 30 different contributors for quotes, and they've all got different niches, they've all got different niche domains, and they've got 30, 40 different OBL on the page, then it's going to cause serious devalue issues anyway, and it's super easy to train against, so it's very likely that they have been getting rid of those sites that have been abusing HARO for links, at least in the sense that they have devalued them anyway. And again, it's been abused by SEOs for far too long, in my opinion, anyway, and it's been the boast been said in Google Webmaster Hangouts and by Google engineers on Twitter for a while as well. So I'm not all that surprised that it's eventually gotten hit. I am not seeing the same thing for localized HARO alternative sites. So sites like SourceBottle in Australia, for example, a lot of the sites that have got large amount of contributing sites from those kind of sites, they don't seem to be hit. It's just the ones that are seemingly abusing HARO itself, which is likely, again, that Google's kind of gone in and reverse engineered this kind of stuff with the engineers rather than kind of training immaculate algorithms against it. It's just devaluing these specific sites. But again, in the future, it is easy to train against, and it's likely, again, that Google will be training it into the algorithm. It's just less likely that it's the algorithm specifically going after you, and that it's more likely that the engineers have baked into the algorithm to devalue a lot of these sites that are doing the exact same kind of stuff and that are popping up on HARO over and over again. And what did the SpamBrain update boost then? What actually saw a benefit from this update? Well, the first thing's not going to be surprising, and neither is the second thing. Probably it's going to be the third thing that's going to be quite surprising to most people, but the very first thing and the second thing are going to be authority publications and high-level editorials. That basically means sites with high authority and sites that have got high-level editorial publications in specific niches or have got enough authority that they can be doing it in general niches anyway. Both of these style of links are expensive, they're PR level kinds of stuff, and they are going to be benefiting that corporate entity style level of company who can benefit the most from doing this kind of stuff because they can do it en masse. There is certain individuals that are very, very good at manipulating this kind of stuff, getting the links for free, but in general, you are going to have to pay for them. And in the SEO space, they're going to be a lot cheaper than they are going to be in the PR space, and a lot of PR people are realizing this, and they're coming over to kind of the SEO and the link building sellers, and they're just buying up a lot of those authority publications and editorials from our side because they're so much cheaper than on their side. You know, a link from Forbes or an editorial on Forbes, from the PR world is like $15,000, but I know sellers that can get you a link on Forbes or an editorial on Forbes for $2,000, $1,000 in some cases. So it's significantly cheaper for them to come over, but in turn, they are also jacking up some of the prices with our own industry. So don't be surprised that we're going to be hit by both a double whammy of inflation, as well as the fact that more people are coming over to the industry and buying more links than we've ever seen previously. So in general, authority publications and editorials have just been seeing a massive boost, and they've been doing really well both in the SERPs, so they've been ranking better for online reputation reasons, as well as for SEO purposes in terms of providing more value and more ranking signals and more of a boost through that. Another thing that is going to be really surprising for the third thing is going to be press releases. Now, press releases have been just seeing a resurgence in Google from my understanding. A lot of sites have been seeing it from their branding and from their brand perspective. They've been getting in Google News more often. They've been ranking for more brand terms more often. They've been ranking for more parasite SEO terms more often. In general, it's quite surprising, though, that press releases have seen such a boost and such a come up again this year. And especially considering that a lot of people wrote them off over the last couple of years as well. But I think, again, a lot of it contributes to the fact that it's trust signal boosting, it's entity stacking, it's all of that kind of stuff within press releases, because a lot of people inside their press releases, they can embed their GMBs, they can embed YouTube videos, they can link to their social profiles, they can talk about their business, they can give Google more information, they can give Google more references to their business. It's all of this kind of stuff, and it's going to give you a lot of links, especially do follow and no follow links from really, really high level publications that are going to be at a very cost effective manner as well. So a lot of the PR services you can get for around $250 to $1,000, and you'll end up getting 50 to 100 really high quality decent links out of it. However, they are obviously going to be duplicate content, and some of them are going to be devalued because they're going to be syndicated on sites that are going to be not within your niche and not authoritative enough to pass any juice. But it's about those 10, 20 sites that are going to be really at the top of the funnel. They're going to be passing all that juice down. Then we've got entity stacking. Now, entity stacking is a massive thing because, in my opinion, Google has baked into SpamBrain that sites require trust signals a lot more, and especially a lot more for stuff like YMYL content, which is what we were talking about earlier. Now, entity stacking is literally just telling Google and giving Google more information about your entity, which is your brand. For example, my brand would be Charles Float for charlesfloat.com, and I could go out and create lots of links and lots of biographical reference-based profiles for my site to help give Google more information about my entity, about my brand. Think sites like Crunchbase, Zoom Info, think things like LinkedIn Pages. All of those kinds of sites are going to be perfect to contribute to your entity stack and contribute to Google trusting your site more. So if your site was hit, or you saw losses, or you are worried that your site is going to be susceptible to these kinds of updates in the future, or you're just looking for insight into how to build new sites and new pages to benefit from these algorithms, then what can you work on? The very first thing is going to be trust signals. That is what is the most important thing, in my opinion. As I just talked about, it's things like entity stacking, but you can also have domain level related trust signals. So things like your domain age, things like how long you registered the domain for in the future, and all sorts of those kinds of signals for domain stuff. You can also have on-page level signals, though they are debated about how much influence they have got. Things like your author, things like your about page, things like linking to your social profiles, and things like the references and the citations that you link out to in your content. Then next up, you can work on your topical clustering. So that just means that you're going to be expanding the current content with new pages and updating the current content that you have got in your topics to be better optimized for the cluster and to give you more authority on that specific topic, so that hopefully you can rank all of those pages better across the board rather than trying to just rank individual content. Likewise, the third thing to work on, and the third option to work on is better optimized content. It sounds easy, it sounds like it is on the tin, but it's just doing those awkward and unnecessary, or those awkward but necessary, audits of existing content to make sure that you can optimize the content that's already there and make sure that it's better optimized than what's already existing in the SERPs. And likewise, making sure that all of your processes for creating new content as well is going to be better optimized in the future. And the final thing that I recommend to work on is your microdata and your schema. Microdata and schema is really helping Google feed into this ability to make their search algorithms more cost efficient, right? Microdata and schema doesn't require all the additional content level processing that your on page and your site does. It's very easy for Google to process your microdata and your schema and understand exactly what it's trying to tell you. So making sure that your schema and your microdata is valid and it's validated in your Google Search Console, making sure that Google is actually picking it up and it's utilizing it in the SERPs, and making sure that it's there in the first place so that you're utilizing all of the microdata and the schema that is available to you for your specific niche and industry, and making sure that you're analyzing competitors, especially the top level competitors, to see what specific microdata and schema that they're using so that you can implement that onto your site and pages as well. And that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more of my YouTube content, because I'm going to be dropping as much as I possibly can this year, make sure that you like this video, you comment with your insights into these algorithm updates, you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know about every single video that I drop on this channel. And if you want to go ahead and follow me on Twitter, you can at Charles_SEO. You can also DM me for consultancy and for audits. If you've been hit by an algorithm or a manual penalty and you've seen over a 50% loss in traffic as a result, I will give you 50% off of my consultancy and audit services. So again, just DM me on Twitter for information and availability on that, because I do not have much availability for this month. I don't think I have any availability for consultancy calls. I have some audits available. You can also download my free ebooks or access my premium courses at charlesfloat.gumroad.com. Like I said, make sure you like, comment and subscribe, turn that notification bell. I'll see you in the next video. I hope you got a lot out of this one and that you can improve all of your sites for the new year. Peace.